So I think we're live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is, what's the date today? Must be the
17th.
27th, is it? Or the,
17th.
oh, the 17th. Oh, I'm 10 days ahead of myself. All right, good morning, everybody. Right, today is Saturday, the 17th of April. Oh my gosh, doesn't it go fast? Is time going really, really fast for you out there? Because boy, oh boy, it really is going fast for me here. So, yes, and we have another story time. But before we begin with story time, I would like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who, as always, is standing to my right side. And what else? And I would also like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
So Chris is in Vermont. Okay, Chris, how is it there?
Well, we had snow flurries yesterday. I think it's just hit 40 this morning, so it's our springtime.
Oh, right. Okay, then. Wow, snow yesterday. My daughter just had her birthday, April 7th. Maybe I should tell that story. Let me just tell that story. Yes, I have maybe I have two stories for you today. You never know. All right, so our theme this month is the Spirit World Sees All, and as some of you will know, we do our Thursday, we do our Thursday morning show, which is titled The Spirit World Sees All. But throughout this month, as we're talking and as we're doing these different shows, I'm trying to give you examples of how clearly the spirit world can in fact see. So we have to go back. I might have told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. But I also have another story for you too. So once upon a time, here we go. Once upon a time, when I was a little girl, when I was, well, maybe, I don't know what age, 12, 13, 14, I used to ride the bus all the way until I was 18 or 19 or something. I used to ride the bus from my house, or just up the street from my house, and into town and back again. And the bus was our mode of transport. So for some odd and unaccountable reason, um, I used to collect bus tickets with the number 7 on them. If a bus ticket had a number 7, that was it. I kept it. If it had a 7 on the end, there was like a string of numbers going all the way across the top of the ticket. If I had a string of numbers and the last one was a 7, wow, I don't know why, but that was really something. If it had 2 7s on the end, or even sometimes a 777 on the end, these were definitely magical bus tickets. And over the years, you can imagine, there's quite a few years, over the years, I would keep these bus tickets in brown paper bags. We didn't use plastic in those days, really. We used brown paper bags. And so when I actually left home, my mother actually told me one time that she'd had to clear out of the closet, down the bottom of the closet, bags and bags and bags and bags and bags filled with bus tickets, because I would just keep any bus ticket that had the number 7 on it. And the number 7 became my number. And I didn't really know why, and had no clue as to why, and didn't really have a concept of lucky numbers in those days. But definitely the number 7 was something that was sort of very, very much, in my radar, let's say, from being a very young girl. And so no surprise here. So finally, after a few miscarriages and a few bumps in the road, I was finally, now I'm heading on years now. This is an off the cuff story that I'm telling you. So, so several years later, I was pregnant and finally had what the doctors termed, and what all of my entire neighborhood termed, as this miracle child. She was her due date was the 10th of April. She was due to be born on the 10th of April, and we all know, don't we? Because I think I talked about her birthday last week or the week before. She was born on the 7th. Ding 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 ding, as my grandson would say. Ding ding ding, a bell's gone off. So so somehow or another, without even knowing it, I think we do know sometimes we know perhaps something special. We know that something's different, or we you know, we have a sense of something. We don't quite understand what it is until all of a sudden, you know, keeping the number 7, holding on to the number 7, knowing the number 7 is important, and then ding, 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 the number 7 was important for my daughter, and she was, as I've said, she was a miracle child. So, so where am I going with this? So that is, you know, we're talking about the spirit world sees all, but we, when we are born to this earth, we have a knowing sense. Some of us are much more attuned to that knowing sense than others, but we all have it. And if we pay attention, or we learn to develop our inner senses, or our which attuned to, or we're able to raise our level of consciousness to that higher point of awareness and understanding, then, you know, then we have this knowing sense. And I think all of us have it, but some of us have it to, you know, more, and some of us have it less. So now that's just a little story about the fact that we have our senses. So that's the end, right? That's the end of that story. Wasn't a great story, but it just occurred to me, you know, when I was talking about April, and I was thinking, gosh, you know, you don't realize that you know things until all of a sudden something happens, and then you realize that you did know, or that you did have a sense of something. Perhaps you did have a sense of something happening. Okay, now, keeping with the theme, the spirit world sees all. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, in the city of Rutland, which is sort of in the north of the country. I was giving I think it was a workshop. It was an evening with Rosemary. So at some point I was giving messages to the audience, and the audience was quite a large audience. And at some point there was on one of the rows, and Chris, you have to come in here at some point. I'll bring you in at some point to actually give the background, because Chris actually was at this particular show. So there's a whole row of women with one man sitting in between. So crossing his arms and wondering why he was here, and not really wanting to be there. And it was a little bit obvious that he'd been dragged there by whoever these women were who were surrounding him. It was fairly obvious that he'd come under duress, let's say. However, the spirit world sees all, right? They don't mind whether you're ready or not. If they're ready and they know that you're ready, they're going to get you. They're going to give you something. They're going to, whatever it is they're going to do. So here I am, and I have a young man in the spirit world who tells me that he died during the war. And I do believe it was the Vietnam War, but I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe it was the Vietnam War. And I asked this guy in sort of sitting amongst all of these women, I said, you know, I have this young man here, and he tells me that he's your brother, and that he went missing in action. And the whole story began to unfold. And this man who'd been sitting there thinking, I don't know what I'm doing here, really, you know, what's going on, and I'd much rather be at the pub drinking a pint or something, was suddenly sitting up and paying attention. And now, one of the reasons, and perhaps the main reason that the brother had come through from the spirit world, was because in his family's life, with his parents, with his other brothers, with his family, you know, when somebody goes missing in action, and I'm sure that some of you out there have either experienced it, or you know people have experienced it. There's no closure, is there? It's like, well, missing. What does missing in action mean? Maybe he's really still alive. Maybe he's stumbling around the jungle and he's still really alive, or maybe he's, you know, still captured, or you know, did he really die? All of these questions. And this young man came through from the spirit world talking about his family, and about his brother in particular, who they'd all had this feeling of, there's no closure. What actually did happen. And there was also some speculation as to whether he had in fact deserted also. And if that was a fact, and if he deserted, well, then where is he? What happened? So, you think that when somebody comes through from the spirit world, they're going to say, yes, we love you. Yes, we're here. Yes, we're okay. And that's, that's it. But what happens when somebody comes through from the spirit world, there is, often such a profound and an amazing revelations that they can bring to us. And as far as this family is concerned, this family had lived for years and years and years and years and years since the war, since their brother was MIA, wondering and worrying, and sort of, you can imagine that your imagination would go right, wouldn't you? What actually did happen? When children go missing, when people go missing, remember the spirit world sees all, and they're often able to tell us, what happened and where it happened, and is this person still alive? What's going on? So this man sitting in this audience, totally not expecting a message and totally not believing that anything was really going to happen, and totally not believing in the fact that we could do this sort of thing. Can you imagine, first of all, his shock when I'm talking about this stuff? Can you imagine his shock when his brother in the spirit world starts to say they have wondered if I'm missing, if I deserted, but. And then he began to describe where he had died and how he had died. And he had died, um, you know, because of the war. He'd been killed and in battle, which put to rest the family's doubts, their fears, and it put to rest their wondering. But then here's the thing. Okay, you can listen to all of that, but then what the spirit world then likes to do, and what this young man in the spirit world was able to do, was to say, now I've told you all of this, I've explained it all, and you get it, you understand it. And we all knew, all the audience knew that he got it, because I think his chin was down on his chest somewhere, his mouth was open, he was like sort of eyes wide, amazed at what was being said. But then his brother in the spirit world decided, yes, but he needs to know it's really me. He needs to understand that it's really me. So he went down memory lane. And very often, those in the spirit world, they go down memory lane. And they go down memory lane to say to you, do you remember when we did this? And do you remember when we did that? And what they're trying to show you is they're giving you evidence, and they're giving you absolute proof that it really is them. Can't possibly be anybody else but them. And in fact, this young man, this lovely young man, started talking about his brothers, 4 brothers in all, and they all used to go to a particular fishing spot that was hidden from view, that rarely anybody else went to and nobody else knew about but them, and it was their special place. And if anything happened, or if they just wanted to have a fun time out together, or if something happened in the family and they just wanted to be together, they would all meet. Even when they were grown, they would all meet at this particular fishing spot, sometimes to fish, sometimes just to hang out, sometimes to, whatever they were doing, but it was their special fishing spot. And so, as I'm telling this young man who's sitting in this audience surrounded by these women, and as I'm telling him all of this, and the tears are pouring down his face, and I'm describing all of this to him, can you imagine that? Yes, there's shock. Yes, there's amazement. Yes, oh my, what happened? How does she know? There's all of that. But after all of that, the spirit world sees all, remember. After all of that, there is such relief, such peace, such peace brought to that family. And this lovely brother who was killed in action and missing in action, his intention that day was to tell his brother and to let his family know they could stop worrying about him now, because he was fine. He had died, but he had not deserted. He was an honourable man and he loved his family to pieces. So this young man sitting in the audience, can you imagine shock, amazement, or excitement, going home, telling his family? But at the end of all of that, after all of that, the peace that must have settled over the entire family was amazing. People say to me all the time, well, what's the point? Yes, all right. So what? So what if there's life after death? So what? They never tell you anything important anyway. They say, oh yeah, we love you, we care about you. Oh yeah, we're still here. It's no great revelations, but to the family, to the person who's receiving the message, the revelations are enormous. The revelations have enormous effects. It's like dropping a pebble into a pond, and the ripples go out and out and out, and we see the ripples going out and out on the surface. What we don't see is the pebble goes down, and as the pebble goes down and sinks into the water, there are still ripples, deep ripples, deep, deep, deep ripples that go out and out and out. So when the spirit world gives messages, they're not just giving messages on a surface level. They're giving messages that resonate deep within us. They resonate and they create these ripples deep within us. And those ripples that are deep within us bring us that peace and bring us that feeling of harmony and finally grasping the fact we don't die. The end. Did you like those two stories, Chris?
I absolutely did. And of course, you've got a lot of comments in the chat room about each of them.
Well, first, I know that you were at this lecture that we did, and so you were in the audience, right? You were sitting in the audience.
I was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 seats down and across the aisle from them, so I could see his
really
eyes. I could see his face. I could see the crossed arms. I could see the jibber jabber amongst all the women who had come hoping for their message, and him, sitting cross-armed and like, let's get this over with. And when he left, to me, it seemed as though he was walking on a cloud of air. If he could have skipped out of that room and not been embarrassed about it, I think he would have. Like, his face probably lost 10 years between the guy I saw walk in and the guy I saw leave. And
Nice.
when, you talk about ripples, as I was saying, this whole row of women, they were hoping somebody, probably them, was going to get a message. But someone in their group did get a message, and they knew how he was, and they could see his transformation. And then those of us sitting in the audience watching the tears, it was as if we were also, hate to use sort of that spiritual cleansed, but we also received the benefit of watching this man get his message. So those definitely were the ripples that went out through the crowd. And I think about your upcoming webinar on May 8th. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen on May 8th. I just enjoy loving the ripples go through because it's just fantastic.
I always say that, when there are a lot of people, you can't give messages to everybody in the audience. It's not possible to give messages. Having said that, even if you don't get an individual message, listening to other people, seeing other people's reactions, watching other people as they receive the messages is a message to them as well. It's, you can't, you can't fake surprise and show. Well, I suppose you can, but not in these circumstances. A few months ago, we did a webinar, and there was a lovely lady in the webinar who received a message, I think, from her sister, talking about, and the sister in the spirit world was saying, I watched you sitting by the river and I watched you meditating. And there was literally this really loud, audible gasp as this message was being received. And then the heartfelt and tearful response from this lovely lady who I don't think was nearly expecting to receive a message when she came to the webinar. So I think it was such a shock for her. And we do have a clip of that actually on our website. So if you go to the website, you can see different clips of people when they're receiving messages. And as I've said, even if you don't personally get a message, even as I'm talking about what happened, and even as I'm talking about this this young man in the audience who was totally prepared to be able to walk away saying, well, that was rubbish, all of a sudden completely rocked to his core. And even just listening to that story, hopefully, is such an inspiration for all of you listening. So the message keeps going on and on and on. So even if it's not a direct message to you, it works out to be a message for all of us. All right, Chris. So let's have some comments, shall we? Let's see what how are people enjoying our story time this morning.
Well, I'm going to start with Mark's because it pertains directly to the last story.
Good morning, Mark.
Mark says, "Oh, I know I'm fully in the knowing. I sense things more so than anyone, not boasting, merely saying I sense more and follow through.
Good.
Ironically, the other day I drove past a building in Tulsa that had 3 letters, MIA.
Oh.
I heard the word missing in action, and here you are, Rosemary, talking about MIA.
There we
Can
are.
you share what this premonition means? I'm getting the goosies now."
I'm not sure that it's a premonition. It's just a knowing, Mark. It's just that we all have a knowing, and it's really, it's showing how much in tune you are, how much in tune you are with the spirit world, how much in tune you are with your own spiritual self, and obviously how much in tune you are with me this morning. So so I think that's something to be so joyful about. Keep going, Chris.
Eric is talking about palindromes and numbers because of your story about your 7s. He said, "I've had lucky numbers throughout the day cashiering. $88.88, $13, $13.13, $44.44, etc., or $82.28 or $40.04, etc."
Okay.
So, talking about numbers, are there any meanings to that?
Well, there are people who totally believe in that. There are numerologists who will tell you the meanings of them. I can only tell you my story, and I can only tell you that the number 7 is a really important number for me. As it turns out, now we see my daughter was born on the 7th. So, but having said that, also I do carry that number with me. When I say I carry it with me wherever I go, I'm aware if I see a 7, or if something happens 7 times, or it is a number that either I follow it around or it follows me around. Who knows? But my number plate says RA7, so there you are. Or does it say 7RA? I can't remember. I think it says RA7. And so, so it's an important number for me. Chris.
So a whole bunch of people love the green top that you're wearing today.
Oh, good.
Variances of "you look so pretty" or "that color is great for you," but everybody's appreciating what you're wearing.
Oh, well, good. Thank you, everybody. I thought, what I sort of, I have so many clothes. I'm ashamed to tell you, I never throw anything away. And I have I have a bunch of white tops that really they're either old, misshapen, but they're all the same. And I just, I've got to throw them out. Does anybody else out there have a hard time throwing out clothes? But having said that, this is old, very old. Most of my clothes are old. I rarely buy new clothes because I've got so many. Because as I just told you, I don't throw them away. But I am really careful with my laundry. You didn't want to hear this, really, do you? You don't care, really, do you? But anyway, even my old clothes look new. Is my point there. Thank you very much for this. I thought it's spring, new green shoots coming up, new green leaves. It caught my eye. I pulled it out. There we are, and here we are. So great. So I'm enjoying wearing it. It makes me feel like, you know, um, I'm going to burst into song in a minute. Spring has sprung, and whatever that song is about. But it makes me feel summery, and it makes me, and I love the color green anyway. My daughter has green eyes. My grandson has green eyes. I have green eyes. Got to wear green sometimes, haven't you? Keep going, Chris.
Shaz is on from Singapore.
Hi,
Chris
Jazz from Singapore.
Chris is on from Ontario, Canada.
Hi.
So these are where people are telling us they're from.
Yeah, let us know where you're from, because we love, love to hear it.
Jillian's up in Nova Scotia saying, I was working in our snow this morning, so thought we were done with it.
Oh, I'm so sorry for all of you having to deal with snow. I bet in Singapore it's a bit steamy now, isn't it, Shaz?
Heather says, hello from Hove. Sunny, beautiful beach day here. I just
Oh,
watched
nice.
Prince Philip's funeral in Windsor.
Okay. Okay. Dare I bring up the? Perhaps I won't. I
Oh, come
tell
on.
people. Pardon?
Go ahead. Bring up whatever you were thinking about.
Well, I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard about it. The why do people have to be mean, and why do they have to be so disloyal? We're thinking about Prince Philip now, and if you have an issue or a problem, deal with that person. Don't tell the whole world how rotten the royal family is. Please, I'm not particularly a royalist, but we heard it all from Diana once before, and it's just one person's experience. But when you hear people spewing bitterness and anger and meanness, it is not appropriate. And I love Oprah Winfrey, but I'm so shocked that she would even be a part of this. Just saying. That's my opinion. If you can't be nice, keep your mouth shut. Chris, where did that come from?
Well, you are British after all. I would
I know,
totally expect that from anybody
I know,
over
but
there.
it's such a shame when it's such a shame.
Well, people are grieving. Let's just deal with people who are grieving. We don't need the rest, right?
We really don't. We really, really don't. And to do it at a time like this is so shocking to me. And just if we can just be decent people, if we can just be nice. Why do people like to dish the dirt on other people? Why do they like to be so mean? What's it got to do with anybody else anyway? Etc. and etc. and go on and on. Can we just be nice? So let's be nice. And I have to say that my heart does go out to the royal family, because Prince Philip. I mean, I don't know how old he was.
99.
Ancient, right? It's got to be an ancient person. For all he may not have done good always, he certainly did a lot of good, and the royal family certainly does a lot of good. And I do feel for his family. I feel for all of them who are, I mean, you might be sitting out there saying, come on, he had 99 years, what's the matter? Well, a loss is a loss, and that's what we should be focusing on, not all the awful, horrible and unnecessary stuff that people are talking about. So for all of you out there in England who are grieving the loss that the royal family have, or that you are supporting the royal family, good for you. And I'm right there with you. Chris.
Heather says, lovely story. You are such a great storyteller. Thank you.
Right. Well, thanks, Heather.
We have a couple of people writing in Italian, wondering if somehow they can understand you in Italian. And unfortunately, we do not know a way to make that happen.
You know, if there's anybody out there who might want to help translate, or if you are, whatever language you speak, Google is the place to go before you put your questions in here. We don't understand. Chris, you don't speak Italian, do you?
No, I do not.
Do you speak German or French?
I can tell you the numbers, but that's about it.
So if you are in another country and you would like to ask a question or make a comment or whatever it is, please use Google Translate. It's really simple. And stop expecting us, will you? Stop expecting us to be able to speak your language. I think the Brits are the worst for that. We go to different countries and we expect everybody to understand English, which is a bit arrogant of us, I have to say. I've been there myself. I've done that myself. But we don't, if you're trying to connect with somebody who doesn't speak your language, learn to speak theirs. Google Translate, Google Translate, Google Translate, Google Translate. Uh, I just want to mention, I know we've mentioned it once before, but May is our celebration month, 25 years. Can you believe I'm that old? Yeah, I don't know how it went by. 25-year anniversary of The Eagle and the Rose, published on the 19th of May, which is my birthday. I'm really hammering home my birthday, but it just happens that it's 25 years. We are celebrating the entire month of May. We are going to be doing our Motivational Monday. And if you have an issue or a problem that you would like help and guidance with, you need to be sending in your questions now. The email is chris@rosemaryaltea.com. And put Motivational Monday in your subject line so that we can come up with lots of different things that we can talk about, and I'll try and motivate you, I'll try and help you, I'll try and give you some guidance and so on and so forth. Start sending in those emails now, because you'll miss your chance if you don't. And we're also doing our Healing Wednesdays. Again, if you have questions about Healing Wednesdays, or if you need healing yourself, please let us know, because we shall mention you. We won't mention your private stuff, just your first name is good enough for us. And we should be sending out healing. But I'll also, every Wednesday throughout the month of May, I'll be showing you how to give healing to yourself. I'll be talking to you about energy. I'll be talking to you about how to create that energy within yourself. Are you listening to me, Mark? Motivational Mondays and Healing Wednesdays. So that'll be going on through the month of May. On May the 8th, and if you want tickets, we're selling out. So just, remember, we have a limited amount of people. And, once we've reached our limit, that's it. Don't get another chance. Certainly not in May. May 8th, we are going to be connecting with the spirit world. We're going to be giving messages, just as I was talking about in my story this morning. And on May the 22nd, we have our spectacular. It's an amazing and an incredible spectacular. It is direct voice communication from Great Eagle. Those of you who have never heard direct voice before, which is the majority of you, I believe, you really need to sort of look into this and see if this is something that you would like to do, because it is stunning. And Great Eagle has only ever done this once before publicly, and here he is going to be doing it again. So, okay, so that's May the 8th, our giving messages, and May 22nd, Grey Eagle Speaks. Wow. Yeah, I'm so excited about it all. Anyway, so if you want to know more about that, please go to the website, rosemaryaltea.com. The last time we did this, especially with Grey Eagle Speaks, we had so many people afterwards saying, but we didn't know. So we're trying to let you know. We're trying to, let as many people know as early as possible. share. Then that way, we can get as many people to know about this and then make their choices. So please share for us, would you? Okay, Chris.
Rosemary, that reminds me when you said most of you don't know about direct voice communication. I think about how many audiences I've sat within when you've been speaking, and most of the people end up being, let's say, 40 to 60 years old, right? So there's a whole younger generation that doesn't know who you are, what you do, the message that you share. So my challenge to everybody listening would be connect with your grandchild, connect with your niece or nephew, connect with somebody in that younger generation so that they too have the hope that that man in the Rutland audience had.
Right. Yeah, this is why we do ask people to share, because you know I think that there are so many people who have an idea of what a medium is, which is so misconstrued, so skewed, such a skewed idea. And I had a gentleman recently in the last few days saying to me, uh, from what I understand, you're a sensitive, or what are you? You you're not a medium, are you? And so my eyes popped out of my head. Here is the difference: a medium talks to people who have died. I will have conversations with them. It's not me thinking, oh, they're saying this and they're saying that. It is, I have so and so here. This is what they're telling me. Here is the evidence that it's them. And I'm having this conversation with them. We go back and forth. They talk to me. I talk to them. If I don't quite understand what it is they're saying to me, Gregor will help me. But, I'll say, did you mean this? Or would you like me to say that? And they'll argue with me sometimes. Says, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this and this. Or sometimes they'll say something to me and I perhaps might think it's a bit harsh and won't want to say it quite the way they have to say it, but then I get into trouble, because my job is to simply be the voice of the spirit world, to be the voice of those people who are your family, are your friends, who are wanting to communicate and to connect with you. And my job is to do that, not necessarily the way I want to, but the way that they want to. I am their voice, and therefore I have to do as I'm told. Can be quite funny, really. Right, Chris.
I'm going to say one more personal thing. I don't typically like to use everybody else's time for mine, but I was at the chiropractor office this past week. I've been kind of down and out with vertigo, and Rosemary has been telling me some things that help me get better, obviously. But I mentioned these things to my chiropractor. I said, listen, this might seem a little bit strange, but I explained what was going on, and suddenly she opened up and she had a smile on her face, and she's like, nobody talks about these things. Yes, I get signs from my father and I get signs from this and that. By us being vulnerable with others and explaining and sharing this information, you pop that cork and allow them to suddenly talk about these things. You make it okay. So I
Well,
just wanted to share that.
I can thank you. I can remember, we when I was younger, we'd sort of all, group of us would all meet in the pub, and you could guarantee if one person, because nobody would talk about it. People think you're crazy if you believed in ghosts or if you believed in spirits or whatever. You were nobody wanted to be seen to be a bit of a crazy person. But you could guarantee when one person told a story, or a friend of mine saw a ghost, blah, 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 then it turns out it wasn't a friend of theirs, it was really them who did it. And then everybody else chimes in. And I think that we all have our stories to tell, and we all of us have our experiences. So I think that opening up, Chris, and not being afraid to talk about these things. I'm glad you talked to your chiropractor about these things. Being able to talk about things, being able to, I remember here's another story about a lovely young lady who could not get pregnant no matter what. And I was able to, it was somebody's dinner table. I was a guest at a dinner party, and so was this person. and her husband, and I said, look, here is what the problem is, and I could actually see the same, Chris, in the way that I look at your neck and I can see what the issue is. I could see exactly what the problem was and why she couldn't get pregnant. And luckily, she actually went to the doctor. She thought, I don't care if the doctor thinks I'm crazy. I'm going to just tell him. So she told him exactly what I had said, where the problem was. They checked it out. Oh, look, they discovered the problem. And the next thing, she had twin boys. So, don't be afraid to share, people. Don't be afraid to share. All right, Chris.
So Art de Rock says, hello, Mary here from Germany.
Hi,
Thanks
Art.
for the opportunity. One question, why do I think about a person 20 years long without having any contact or any answers from my loved ones?
That's interesting. And I have an amazing story, which I maybe will tell next week. Just jot that down, would you, Chris? I might have told, I'm wondering if I've told that story before. Why do we connect? Because there are, if you read Soul Signs, and I was talking about Soul Signs, the book Soul Signs, a few weeks ago, and somebody said, can you tell me who the author is? And we laughed because I'm the author of Soul Signs. But in Soul Signs, it explains to you, first of all, it explains how different souls are created, the kind of energy that different souls have. But it also explains the fact that not only do we have soulmates, everybody knows about soulmates, we have soulmates, we have workmates, we have playmates, people who are in our lives and somehow we're connected to them without even realizing, but people who they might only be in our lives for 5 minutes. We might meet them for 5 minutes, but they'll make an impression on us. They'll connect with our soul. They'll connect with it in a way that is, let's say, unusual or different. And those souls, whether they are workmates, playmates, soulmates, whichever they are, will resonate within us, will resonate within our soul, and they will continually and continue to resonate with us. If that person in the spirit world is in the spirit world and you're continually thinking about that person, it's because they have that connection to you, that it's about energy, and it's all connecting to energy. And it explains also why sometimes, out of the blue, we haven't heard from someone or thought of someone for years, and then all of a sudden we start to think about that person. We have this thought, we wake up with a thought about that person, and it's all to do with soul signs. It's all to do with energy and connecting energy. It's fascinating, really. I would like to go more into it, but unfortunately we don't have the time to do that this morning. Keep going, Chris.
Heather says 1111. That crops up all the time. What is your take on this one?
I don't know. I'm not a numerologist, Heather. It's like people say, I had this dream, and they'll explain this dream to me, and they'll say, so what does it mean? I don't know, because I'm not a dream expert and I'm not a numerologist. I actually did say to somebody very, very recently, this person was obviously fascinated in all areas of this particular subject in the subject of spirituality, and talking about meditation, and then going on to talking about tarot cards, and then going on to talk about something else, and so on and so forth. And this particular person, she's lovely, and she has a special talent. And I looked at her at one point and I said, you have to make up your mind here. Do you want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, or would you like to simply be a master of your own talent? And if you want to be a master of your own talent, you've got to stop bringing everything else in. Stop wondering if people, are going to be more fascinated, or you can get more people to come to you if you know a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Be a master of your own topic. So, Heather, I love you dearly. I'm sorry. I'm not a numerologist. I can't help you. Chris.
Debbie is asking, do you have any message from her mother? She passed away in 1992 and she still misses her dearly.
Who is this asking?
Debbie.
Debbie. I don't know, honestly, if this is your mother, but as I'm listening to your question and actually connecting or tuning in, I, I, Greg has put his hand on my shoulder. I do have a lovely lady. I'm surprised. I'm just as surprised as everybody else. I have this lovely lady standing here who, and I don't know who this is. I don't know if this is your mother or not, but as I'm listening to the question, I can see her quite clearly. She had some issues. I don't know if it's with her eye or with her eyes. I'm not quite sure. And issues with her head. Greg was giving me a thumbs up, so I'm going with that. Not twice. Oh, I wish I had more time to do this. But anyway, as Chris was asking me this question, I can see this lady out of the corner of my eye here, and all I can tell you is she's blowing kisses for you. So I hope I'm not confused you too badly. Let me know, would you? Chris.
Amy says the number 7 represents spirituality, so a perfect number for you, Rosemary.
Oh, good. Well, good. You see, there obviously is a numerologist. Good.
Maggie says, I love your stories. They're both insightful. The number 8 and 24 has always made itself noticed and has been around me. And the second story was needed today. Something came up recently, and I keep hearing your words play the game and soon.
Oh, wow. Oh, Maggie, now you've intrigued me. Now you've really intrigued me. So that's good, right? Okay. I hope it's good. Yeah. Good. All right, Chris. Let's stop with this cryptic stuff now. We want everyone to know what it is we're talking about, right? So, Chris, go ahead.
Sharon's agreeing with your earlier comment about clothing, saying, I need to throw some clothes away too.
Good luck. Good luck with that. Mind you, I remember once, it was a long time ago, just having this, you know how you have this sort of crazy moment and you want to clean out all your closets, and so you do it and you throw stuff away, and then it might be months later, and all of a sudden you realize you threw something away that you really want to wear today. So take your time about it. Don't go too crazy too soon. But believe you me, sometime in the next couple of weeks, my closets are going to be half as full as they are now. That's saying something, right?
That is very much saying something.
You know my closet, right, Chris?
Even still, the way you organize, to die for.
I know. I'm really anal. The other day, it's so funny you saying this, because the other day I went through my tops, all short sleeves here, everything short sleeves here, but color coordinated. And then the longer sleeves and the 3/4 sleeves are here, color coordinated. Then the long sleeves are here, color coordinated. So now I've got to go through and say, right, this one out, this one out, this one out, this one out. Anyway, Chris.
Betta says, Good Saturday, Rosemary, from my house. I believe that after earthly life, there is something else. Unfortunately, I know some people who don't believe this. What would you say to the skeptics?
I would say you have a right to your beliefs, and I have a right to mine. I'm not interested in convincing anybody. It's up to you. If you want to believe, that's great. If you don't want to believe, that's great. It makes not one jot of difference to me, because the only thing that's important to me is what I believe. And I know that there is a life after death. I have no doubts. I'm very fortunate in this. I see this every week and almost every day. Somewhere or another, I get confirmation that actually this is real. But I do understand why people don't believe it or can't believe it or would rather not believe it, because after all, for those people who don't believe it and then suddenly they do believe it, you have to change your whole mindset, don't you? And who wants to do that? So better stop worrying about the people who don't. Just focus on what you believe. That's the most important thing. Chris.
All right, Kayla needs some help. I am being troubled off and on by a stalker who believes she, in quote, knows me, believes I should be gay, This troubles and frightens me. How can I get her to go missing in action?
Easy, call the police. Don't tolerate stalkers. Call the police, explain what's going on. You know, we had a stalker. I should say I had a stalker, and you know, I tried to let it go, and you know, obviously this person was very troubled. This went on for probably 2 or 3 years, you know, and unfortunately, she became more and more aggressive. I say she because we never actually knew if it was a she or a he. She became more and more aggressive, and the next thing we're getting emails saying, "I'm going to come knock on your door and I'm going to have a knife in my hand," and blah blah blah. You know, I mean, people can get a little bit crazy about these things, and people can sort of, you know, get carried away with these things. So, you know, I ended up calling the police, reporting it. The FBI got involved, and finally we were able to stop it from happening. If you have a stalker, any of you out there, I don't care how mildly, get the police involved, please. Don't mess about with it. Get the police involved. You should not have this happen to you. You should absolutely not tolerate it. It's a form of bullying which should not be tolerated and can turn into something really, really awful. So get the police involved. Again, get the police involved. Chris.
Junior says, I have a ticket to your webinar on the 22nd. However, I have no idea what type of question to put. What type of question can I ask Gray Eagle?
Oh gosh, well, um, I was going to say you can ask anything you like, but if we can try and stick to, you know, oh gosh, there are so many different questions. Uh, one question could be, you know, if you have any curiosity about the workings of the spirit world, if you have any curiosity about the universe, if you want to ask his opinion on anything at all that has to do with how we human beings on this earth act and interact. Um, there are, you know, I think what I'll do is, you know, because I am writing a book. It's mostly written, I should say. I'm editing this book, and there are so many different questions in there. So maybe I'll go through those, and maybe over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I will put some questions out, some ideas out to you of the types of questions that you know you could ask Grey Eagle, and you can ask him also some personal stuff about yourself. I don't know whether he'll answer or not, but you know, try and think of the sorts of things here. Okay, let's look at it this way. Uh, Visualize, because this is exactly what's going to happen. Visualize that you are going to see Gandhi, or that you're going to see, you know, the wisest man you could possibly imagine. And you've got the opportunity to go, and you've got the opportunity to sit and listen. Sitting and listening is the most important thing. But in this case, you're going to be sitting around the campfire. You're going to be sitting around Grey Eagle's campfire. If you have the opportunity to speak to somebody who is wise and knowledgeable, and who has, you know, experience and a take on things that you perhaps never even, you know, uh, thought that you could look at something from a different point of view. If you have something out there that you would like to sit around the campfire and talk about, they're the kinds of things. So I don't want to put words into your mouth. I don't want to give you a question because I want it to be your question, Julie. So, you know, sort of, but we'll throw in some ideas and some questions over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So pay attention. We'll probably put them up on the website as well, so that you can see them there. So, you know, we'll give you some ideas and suggestions of what you should be expecting, or what you can expect to ask. I'm so excited that you're coming, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have a wow time. Chris.
Jillian said, when I read The Eagle and the Rose many years ago, It was like candy for my soul. I read it all in one evening and was left
Oh,
wanting more.
all right. Well, there is more, you know. I have written other books. just, just saying. Well, thank you for that. Yes, and the most amazing thing about this book for me is that 25 years on, people are still coming to know it. There are a lot of people out there, as Chris said, you know, different generations perhaps have not even heard of it. You know, so you know, it's that book that you can literally pick up. It's not old. It's not, you know, it's.
Timeless.
Thank you. Yes, it's timeless. So you know, you can pick it up and read it, and it's like it's like candy, right? Candy for the soul. I like that. I like that a lot. Chris.
Maggie says the last session about the angels and Gray Eagle spoke. It was so wonderful.
Oh, so Maggie, then you were obviously at our previous webinar where Grey Eagle spoke, and wow, yes, it was amazing. It was. Yes,
Ruth
Chris.
Ann Ruth Ann says, I'm looking forward to you popping in during May.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, I'll be all over the place. I'll be there. And so pay attention because I'll be in and out. I'll be walking the beach or I'll be in the kitchen or I might even just be grocery shopping and sort of whisper into the, you know, into the, whatever it is. So we'll be doing it on Restream. So we'll be reaching YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I don't know where we'll be. We'll be all over the place. So do pay attention because you'll get every time we go live, you'll get that little thing that comes up on your phone or on your iPad or on your computer and it'll say Rosemary Altea live. And then you'll be able to check in. Chris.
Heather says, my young know all about mediums thanks to you, Rosemary, and we have all taken comfort from the messages you gave us.
Oh, thank you, darling. I appreciate that. Share, 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 everybody. Keep going, Chris.
Maggie says, thinking of seeing a Chinese doctor of acupuncture and healing. Any thoughts on it helping the torn abductor tendon in my leg and back?
You know, I've taken my daughter for acupuncture, total waste of time. I've been to different acupuncturists myself, total waste of time. However, I had in England, there was this absolutely great guy. His father taught him, and his father was taught by somebody, and so on. This guy was a great jazz player too. And it was the only way that I could, you know, my back would seize up sometimes for days and it's even occasionally for 2 or 3 weeks. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. And he was the only guy that was able to help me, to help my back. He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. It again, it's like everything else. It's like I said to somebody the other day about tarot cards, and she said to me, "Do you believe in them?" And you know, and I was talking to her about the runes and different things that different tools that we can use. It is, do I believe in acupuncture? I believe if you get someone who knows what they're doing with it, absolutely. But there are so many people out there and they have sort of short courses, you know, they go on a course for 3 months or 6 months and then I remember taking my daughter to an acupuncturist and I just had to shake my head and walk away. It was dreadful. It was awful because obviously this girl had no clue what she was doing. So again, it's not a question of do we believe, it's a question of who uses these things, who uses these tools. And if you find somebody who has a good track record, if you preferably get recommended, if you have somebody who really knows what they're doing and they've gone through proper training, then absolutely I can tell you that it certainly worked for me. Chris.
All right, we're bumping up right against time, Rosemary. Do you want one more question?
Sure.
All right, from Caliphonic. Hi, Rosemary and all.
Hi.
It's always a pleasure to watch you. I have a question. My son is 15 months old, and lately when he's playing, suddenly he runs to me like as if someone or something scared him.
Well, first of all, how lovely for you that you've got this little one. And secondly, how lovely that he is so sensitive, although you might not think so. It does seem as if he's sensing or seeing, and I don't think it's something that scared him. I think it's maybe something that he's perhaps surprised about, or he senses. I think it's someone in your family in the spirit world who's just letting himself, to sort of around and letting this little boy know that he's okay. But with children, somebody new comes into the house and they immediately rush to you and cling hold of your knees because they're not sure yet. But as this child grows, he bears watching. So just watch and see how he responds. And he's obviously a very sensitive little thing. So, please pay attention to that sensitivity in him, and just, he's obviously a child who needs lots of cuddles too. Oh, don't you miss babies? I miss babies. Keep going. Anything
Oh,
else, Chris?
oh, Rosemary, we'd be here for another hour if we could do that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much. We've really appreciated you. We always appreciate you. We wish we had more time. If you have another question, if you want to connect with us again, keep connecting. We have our Thursday morning show, which is The Spirit World Sees All, and we have our story time Saturday morning. We may, I don't know what Chris is doing later on, but we may even pop in later on. Who knows with what? Maybe it's another story time. What, Chris? What? Are you surprised? Are you shocked that I should even mention it?
Hey, I'm lucky if I get to participate in this. You do what you need to do.
So keep checking in. Keep watching. Be prepared to be surprised. Be prepared for me to pop in and out of your lives. But watch out for maybe, I don't know, later on. You never know what we're going to be up to, right, Chris? We're going to be fooling people a little bit. But anyway, if I don't see you again, not ever, but if I don't see you again today, is what I meant. If I don't see you around, we'll be around on Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be around next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for story time. And we'll take questions, and we love to have people responding anyway. I'd like to say, Chris, thank you to you. You're always amazing. And I would, of course, I'd say thank you to Gregor for participating, because he's just lovely. And I would like especially to thank all of you. Please have a very blessed rest of the day, and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. And you never know, just keep tuned. We'll pop up. You never know. Later on today, we'll see. Until I see you again, please, all of you, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. And please remember, the Spirit World sees all. So just watch yourselves a little bit, would you? Bye-bye, everybody.